hope you got your shitting pants on.
Because you are about to shit your pants.
All right, everybody, welcome to The Big Picture. I am Michael Sargent, and you're listening to this program exclusively on All Western New York. All right, so we got a few things to get into today. And you remember I said no more political stuff? I'm just not going to do it anymore. Well, I do have a bit of a political thing to talk about today, and it's just basically to say rest in peace, John McCain. At one point in your life, you were a great American. Okay? So that's all I have to say on that topic. All right? Like I said, rest in peace, brother. Brother! All right. So let's talk about a couple of things here related to photography. Okay? Clipping path. I've mentioned those jerks before, and I hate to say this, but I got a connection request on LinkedIn again after I've told them I don't want nothing to do with them. And I also got 2 emails today from the same company. They just don't get it. Okay? It's kind of a joke. All right. So let's talk about Shutter Magazine. Okay? They had an article out here that talked about creating colored shadows with gels. All right? Which is pretty cool. Let me give you the gist of the story here. All right, if nobody here knows what gels are, they're like thin pieces of plastic. You know, I think I don't want to call them cellophane, but they refer to them as gels, and a lot of them are colored, and a lot of times they'll put these things over top of lights. But it's supposed to, you utilize the color gels in your creative process, and the goal, okay, is, just to create a different effect in the photograph itself. Color models, okay, they talk about color models. And it's a mathematical representation of how a color is being created using 3 or 4 values. When you have an additive color model and subtractive color models, RGB and CMYK are 2 well-known color models. All right, and for anybody who doesn't know, CMYK, cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, they're used in printing. It's a subtractive color model. RGB is an additive color model. All right, so if you remember back in kindergarten, they talked about primary and complementary colors, and complementary colors are any 2 colors that, when combined, cancel each other out. That means they produce a grayscale color like white or black. In the RGB model, the primary colors are red, green, and blue. The primary secondary complementary pairs are red, green, blue, orange, and yellow/purple. Okay? So to find a complementary color, search the internet for images of color wheels or buy a printed one. All right? Considerations with all this. When you try to do this, remember that some adjustments are going to be needed. You got to be careful because the modeling lights on strobes can get quite hot. So make sure your gels are not melting or, melting and causing a fire, which would suck, seriously suck. And then also remember that in order to combine these colors, you need to put them at the right angles or at a distance they have enough room to merge together so the model's face is still colored, but you can experiment with moving the model back and forth and adjusting the light angles so they merge together in the right spot where the model is standing. Okay, you don't want to turn your model purple. Okay, maybe a little purple cast from the color gels, but you don't want to turn your model into a purple-looking alien hot woman, or, whatever the case is. So, and then you also have to notice the intensity of colors that comes out of your gels. Try to make them equal. The color density of your gels might not be equal, or maybe one of your strobes is more powerful than the other, which can make it difficult to match the colors. All right. So, prepare first and then put the gels on, and then, position them to where you need them. All right. You got to be patient with all this and experiment in the studio. It usually takes about 30 minutes to get it working. If you're really good at it, like me, it only takes a few minutes. So, a little bonus tip on this: shadow areas in your image pick up the colors better. So if you want to use colored gels on a subject, use them on the show areas of her face. Okay? Another little bonus tip for you: if you need a red background, use a black background and make it red with a red color gel. It will make it a richer red. Right? That's kind of a huge deal. Okay? Especially when you're playing with colored gels. All right, so that's the first thing that we'll talk about here with gels. Gels are cool. They really are. I do a little bit with them here and there, and it really does make a make a cool effect in your photo. All right. Now, something else I want to talk about is email spam. All right. Now, I just mentioned here a few minutes ago that I'm getting these stupid emails from Clipping Path again, and they suck. But I also want to let everybody know that people have been getting bombed with this keto ultra diet crazy shit. And, it amazes me because now in emails, this is kind of weird. You go to find out the email address. Like, I have a server, and you can send just about anything to my server. And that's primarily like my email address is anything. What torques me off about it is when you go to find out what they used to send it to you, you can't find it. It's not listed there. Or there might be some crazy ass weird email address that's not even related to you, or you don't even see your email address attached to it. So when you go to click to unsubscribe to it, you can't do it. So here's what I have to say to you marketing companies that want to email blast us and fill our inboxes with shit. There's three primarily, and all three of you are assholes.
You're an asshole, you're an asshole, and you're an asshole.
Yeah, so it's, maybe it's pretty funny to them, but it's not funny to me. I think it's a bad call. And honestly, if I could be put into a room with some of these spammers, these marketers that want to send all their emails to us, I can guarantee you I would be their huckleberry.
I'm your huckleberry.
It's a bad look, it's a bad call, it's a bad thing to do, and it just plain sucks, okay? So that's all I can really say about it. And you marketing companies, that's all you do is you suck.
Oh, no! We suck again!
You guys are losers. Huge losers. That's all I'm going to say about that. All right? So, what else can we get into here today that's going to be interesting on the topic of photography? Let's just take a look here. Photo tours. A lot of marketing going around about photo tours right now, and see, those are the kind of emails that I don't mind. Because some of these places I would like to go, so it's really kind of cool. So one of the places that I've always kind of wanted to visit was Iceland. Very neat, place to be. But let's talk about photo tours for a minute. All right. Photo tours, are real cool. Just from the fact that you're going to see a lot of great landscapes, possibly a lot of wildlife, and what I can say about this At some point in the past, a good friend asked me if I ever looked over my shoulder to keep an eye on the competition. And my reply to that was, I have an aim in my life, which is to run a successful business and enjoy my photography in a way that allows me to fulfill my goals in photography. And if others have a problem with that, well, they can keep an eye on me over their shoulder. My advice to all is to mind your own affairs. Concentrate on what you enjoy doing and how you do it. This way, all of your energy can be concentrated on your aims, which will let you make sure you are, live a fulfilling and enjoyable life and career in photography. There's clubs and groups out there which believe that their way of doing things is the best and all others are wrong. Don't ever feel the need to be a member of the club, any club. Do your own thing, okay? Which brings me to my next topic. I recently photographed a young lady who is a competitive bodybuilder, and she rocked that photo shoot. She really did a great job. And what was amazing about it is, she had basically shared one of the photos that we took, and had made some comments about what people said when she first started bodybuilding, and it just comments about it'll make you look like a man and all this other stuff, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. So I looked at it and it just kind of reaffirms what I've always said about being who you are, the type of person that you are. Never ever let anybody convince you to do anything otherwise. Okay, it's not a good look. You have to be your own person. You have to do your own thing. So, with that being said, that falls right into categorically what I do. Behind that lens, I like to do the headshots and I like to do the sports and interest combinations. So, I'm going to give you another little story here about a Chinese photographer, and I hope I don't butcher his name too well. But his name is Alexei, and he's a well-known Chinese photographer. And he's a photographer whom Ainsley most frequently cooperates in China, and he documents the daily life of Ozzy Osbourne. He has also shot for directors, actors, singers, and most celebrities in China. All right. Pretty cool dude. Born in 1984, the year I graduated high school. I'm an old man, okay? And, he's a Pro Photo China ambassador and a master at balancing art and commerce. He collects inspiration from his daily life, which makes his work with diverse perspectives silent but profound. In a sense, he can be regarded as an artist rather than a fashion photographer. Okay, he's also the founder of A Studio and has shot covers for several fashion and art magazines such as Chinese GQ, Esquire, Bazaar, Art, Element, and Traveler. and I don't mean to laugh, but honestly, I had no idea that there was even a Chinese GQ. So I guess that's my DTD moment of the week. I had absolutely no idea of any of that. And, well, you know what? That's on me. There's some things I don't know. So sometimes it's one of those situations where you just got to shut your mouth.
You shut your mouth, you bastard!
All right. Rolling along with the story here. Okay. This photographer, okay, in 2015, his photo book, Lonely Planet, won the Photo Book Awards Martin Parr edition at Lanzhou Photo Festival. And in June 2016, his project, Peking Apartments, won the Fine Art Photography Awards in London. In addition to his work as a photographer, Alexei is also a director of photography in, wow, that's incredible. He's also a director of photography. In 2016, he curated an exhibition at UCCA, one of the best-known art galleries in China. The exhibition involved 9 influential Chinese artists. So, see, photography's all across the world. It's cooler than shit. And what I can tell you is, just one of the photographs that he took, and let's lay it out here. I believe it's Alexei Vixen. That's his last name. Maybe. I may be misquoting that. The creative director of GQ China came out with a fun and bold idea that the 10 people in this photograph that he has are standing in a circle. They all look down at the camera. Due to the different distances between the subjects and the camera, there would be an overlay relationship between the models. All right, which, if you've never done anything like that before, it's kind of cool because it creates one hell of an interesting contrast look. Okay, so to test whether the idea was feasible, they arranged 10 staff members as models to simulate the shoot and identify potential problems. See, it's all about the setup. You got to do the setup. You got to do the homework and make sure that things work. All right. The lighting setup was designed to imitate the natural sunlight from behind, while the subjects' faces also needed to be lit. The whole image would be folded twice and thus divided into 3 sections while avoiding broken lines on the subjects' faces. At the same time, the full-width image had to be well composed for the fold-out. So, anyway, to make a long story really short here, they put this all together and put like a reflective disc, down below while they shot over top, and all of a sudden, boom, they've got faces in the photo, and it works out. So, see, you just got to sit there and play, with different lighting setups to get the ultimate shot, or a shot that you're actually looking for. So, anyway, some pretty cool things going on, in the photo world. Okay, now here's something that I need to kind of bring up. Okay, I recently had noted, all right, that some of the people that I work with, or have worked with in the past, a lot of people seem to have I don't want to call them confidence issues, because that's not what it is, but I had noticed that there's people out there that have a very, very reserved demeanor about them, and I've always wondered why. Okay, that's something that's very, very I don't want to say concerning, but I've never been able to understand how some people view themselves, and how in the world they can walk around. I mean, you ever meet a person that just facially, or build wise, or just you can look at them and say, wow, what a beautiful person that is, and then when you get to talk to them, you kind of find out that they don't have a lot of self-confidence, and it makes you wonder, what happened? Why don't you have the confidence? I mean, you remember that old song, I'm sexy and I know it. I don't even know LMF, Lap My Fucking Ass Off, or whatever the hell the name of the group is. But, it's always kind of been concerning to me that some people have these self-preconceived opinions about themselves. And, that's kind of where, I look at the years and years of me doing photographs and the ability to be able to put somebody in front of my lens and make them feel quite comfortable in a very short amount of time. And we produce some pretty awesome images from that. So, it's kind of interesting, but, people that you photograph, and it's all of you people.
You people!
They need to understand, when you're going to see a photographer, let the photographer do his job. All right. Makes a big deal, because if you come into a photo studio and you walk out with a bad photo, I've said this before, this is not your fault. This is the photographer's fault. The photographer has failed you.
But I have failed!
And that's something that I just don't allow to happen. if I can't get the shot of somebody, I schedule them for a second session because, and moving forward, I announced a couple of weeks ago that I'm doing things completely different. And I'm sure that there's going to be people that say I'm a dick about this, and maybe I am. There's nothing funny about it. But obviously there are people that think it is. But I think a photographer's worst enemy, when they're doing photographs, is taking, a bad shot due to circumstances that are beyond their control. And when I say beyond their control, photographing during times of day that, you have hard light, things like that, it kind of sucks to do it that way. I won't do it that way anymore. Anybody that wants to see me or want me to photograph is going to do it my way. And I know it sounds like I'm being difficult, but I'm going for imagery now. I'm going for the best images that I can possibly photograph. I don't want to do bad images, or what I would consider bad. It's funny. I've never had anybody come out and say, well, that photo sucks. And that's a good thing. I'm sure there's probably some people that think it, and I'm not going to argue with them or disagree with them because I would feel that they are absolutely right. But anyway, my whole point of talking about this in the way that I am is basically to kind of put people on notice that I'm no longer going to excuse me, I'm fumbling for some information here. I'm no longer going to be doing imagery that I'm not going to be happy, creating. So, photographers sometimes do things that they're, I don't want to say comfortable with because it has nothing to do with their comfort. Sometimes photographers will try to force a shot, during hard sunlight or take a photo in hard sunlight, and it just never goes well. I remember a while back I read a story to you about a photographer that took images in hard sunlight, and there was a lot of shadows on the faces and things like that, and she was trying to correct the shadows in editing, and supposedly her professor never showed her how to do those edits, that type of editing. Well, this is what it's about, okay? If you're going to be a photographer, the less editing you have to do, the better. So what you primarily have to do is be able to shoot it right in camera. You only get one shot. And I'm looking at it from the aspect of saying that moving forward, my shots are going to be not crappy. We're going to do it my way. And if you want me to photograph you, you got to understand that I am the professional here. It's my creative vision, and that's what you're paying for, is my creative vision. So when people cross state lines to come see you, and although, I'm not a killer, in my local market because of my competition, there's people around the world, or across the United States that know the type of work that I do. And when they're going for the look that I create, they're traveling state lines to get me, or I'm traveling state lines to get them, 6 to 1, half a dozen the other. So anyway, that's, I know that all sounds bold and arrogant and all this other crap, but it's the way it is. You're not paying for my personality. You're not paying for, my service. You're paying for what I'm able to do. Which is kind of fun. I kind of enjoy this. So, I got a couple of emails that I think, might be interested. Let me read this to you. I got an email the other day. Good morning, Mr. Sargent. Sorry for the short notice. I'm looking for a quote for my wedding. I'll give you a little bit of details about the event, and if you're available for those days, please let us know. East Indiana wedding, okay. Of course they list the church, but the wedding was, basically for August 18th, which I was already booked for, in Indiana. The reception, was a day later, okay, which I really thought was, kind of unusual. They were going to have a ladies' party, the day before the wedding. And, just this was kind of a big deal. And the other question is also, is your business licensed with the city or state of Indiana? And I had a traumatizing experience with photography. And, I contacted this photographer through a, web service, which I won't mention here. After a couple of email exchanges, I paid the $1,000 deposit he needed for this wedding event a couple of months ago, and I haven't heard from the photographer since. I tried calling, but he wouldn't answer his phone. I called the city to check if his business is licensed, and it's not. I don't want to deal with him anymore, and this time I would just like to make sure that I have something to hold on to, as I could not anymore afford to lose a vast amount of money. So, my response, was simply because, I was booked that day. I can't do no more. So, I had to let it go. And, I told them I was very sorry for, what they experienced. And, not all photographers are, legit or on the up and up. Some of them, come on, take $1,000 deposit and then run. I know that's what most photographers will charge to do a wedding. So, I was often, just recently criticized about my costs. And you're right. My fees have gone up. You know why? Because I am that damn good and I'm not going to do things for free anymore. Photography, it's an expensive thing to get into. So anyway, with that email read, I'm basically done with that. Okay. So anyway, let me see where we're at here with time, because, I would have a tendency to run over. And I have about 3 minutes. So, see, this week I'm kind of hard to kill. But, other weeks, well, not so much. So anyway, I feel bad for these people that get jacked by certain photographers, and boy, it's a fire.
But, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire.
So, all I can tell people, and here's the thing, Clipping Path, keto diet, you email spammers, you not on the up and up, you all just need to get the hell out of my face.
Get the fuck out my face with that shit.
Yeah, because I'm not interested. I like to do my own editing, and if I ever became so busy that I couldn't do my own edits, I certainly wouldn't go with a company out of India. Okay, that's not cool, brother. So anyway, let's go to a rollout here and let's get this show over with for the week, because we just don't have a lot of time and we're running out. And I also have to do a couple of voice promos and things like that are somewhat important. Anyway, hope everybody enjoys the show. We did a little bit more talking about photography this week, and I basically plan on keeping it that way. Okay? All right. So I'll be looking forward to doing the show next week. And, okay, people hate me for this. God bless. But you know what? If you can't deal with it, go watch monkeys. I tweeted out earlier this week. I love watching me some monkeys. Monkeys always make people smile. All right. We're out. Bye.